Hello and welcome to Postbag with me, Chanel Shea Calvin.
And me, Lee Bannister.
And today we have a very special edition of the show. There's some sad news and there's some good news.
That's hands.
All of that.
Well, the sad news is that this is the last edition of Postbag.
Oh, so we should probably remove our bits and pieces then,
No, wait. Because the good news is that we're expanding the programme to become the Big Centre magazine.
Oh, wow!
You put that back there.
I just wanted to take that really, because I did know that was happening, to be honest.
Yes, well, it's all because, you see, our schedule is changing for the autumn on Big Centre TV, and there's so much going on here, and we thought we'd expand the programme to a full hour, and we're calling it the Big Centre magazine. We'll
show you what's happening on the station. We'll be taking a look around our area at community news and events, and we're welcoming some special guests too.
Yes, we can't tell you much more yet, as it's all a surprise, but you'll be able to catch the Big Centre magazine on Saturday tea time at 5 p.m.
But don't worry, Postbag isn't disappearing altogether though, as you can still send us your comments and your favourite shows, and we'll be reading out as many as we can.
Yes, and watch out on the Big Centre TV Facebook page as well, because each week we're going to be asking you questions and we want to hear your best answers.
Oh, can't wait for that bit.
Oh, yes.
Now back to this week, and over the next half an hour we'll be taking a look back over this week's Big Centre TV highlights and looking ahead to next week too.
Yes, as always, if you'd like to talk to us about anything at all, then why not get in touch?
Yeah, on social media, which obviously is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube. Just do a search for us by searching Big Centre TV, or you can email us on postbag@bigcentre.tv.
Or you can put your pen to paper and write to us, and this is where we click our fingers. So
we do it together?
Yeah, all right. 1, 2, 3. Hey! There's the address. Postbag, Big Centre TV, 14A, Lower Hall Lane, Walsall, WS1 1RL. And
just like that. Okay, let's have a look at some of the brilliant new things you can look forward to in our brand new autumn schedule, which begins on Monday the 7th.
Kicking off your day, it's the all-new Boston Bear Show on weekdays at 7 a.m. and again at 1:30. She knows a lot about that.
I do.
She's presenting it with Boston.
Oh gosh, I am.
He's great.
And Get Up and Go on weekdays at 9:30 and 4 p.m. You can expect to see Get Fit with Bhangra. There's a bit of disco, salsa, kung fu, drum and bass. Did you see that? Did you see it? Kung fu.
You're a blur, then. You're a blur.
Blur. And plenty other ways to keep fit and bop along with us as well.
Now, there's lots of great Midlands music with Soundcheck, Music Box, Amped and Reverb Live, as well as the 80s show, which is an affectionate look back at some of our favourite pop videos of the 80s. Just my sort of thing, that is.
I wasn't around then.
I was.
Well, we've got plenty happening in terms of sport as well. The sports team have their finger on the pulse of all sorts of sports activities on the Midlands. There is extra time. I just realised what you was doing then. There's extra time. Bob Hall Sporting Scrapbook, a bit of wrestling, Fitness Central, ice hockey and Sadler's TV, all the way from Walsall FC. Not really all the way because it's still in the Midlands.
It's not far away, so yeah, but there. Yeah. Anyway, there's a bit of fun on Wednesday nights at 10:30 and Saturday nights at 11:30 as we jump into bed with the Fizzogs. Brilliant stuff.
That sounds interesting, that does.
Now, if you like a bit of the old stuff...
Well, I'm too young to know about that again.
No, honestly, you won't let me live that down with you. Well, anyway, there's a lot on the schedule for you retro and nostalgia fans, including Tiz Was.
Yay!
Yes. Oh, yes. Terrorhawks, Roy Rogers and Trigger, Space Patrol, One Step Beyond, Sherlock Holmes and The Long Lost Show.
Plus some wonderful new and revamped shows from your Big Centre favourites, including The Week with Carl Jones, The Bob Hall Show, What's On with myself, Life Stories, Midlands at Home, Land Rovers Live, Doorstep History, Brummywood Jammywood and Cuppa TV.
And we are thrilled to welcome Dee Kelly to the station with her new investigative show, Dee Kelly Asks.
I'm so glad you said that word, investigative. Anyway,
she didn't say it.
And we've still got up to 4 hours of local news for you every day. And we finish the week with a classic B-movie at 10 p.m. on Sundays. And if you're a fan of Sherlock Holmes, scary monsters and shaky sets, then that'll be one for you.
Oh yes, there you go. You can catch our autumn launch programme on Monday night at 10 p.m.
So much to look forward to, isn't there?
Oh, there's loads on it. I'm looking forward to this.
Well, it's now time to take a look back at some of the things that we've been enjoying this week here on Big Centre TV.
And let's kick off with Amped. Now, Amped is our popular weekly roundup of everything rock, punk and metal.
It features the freshest music and information and gives you a heads up on the best gigs and shows.
So let's see who joined Johnny Doom this week.
Oh, and look out for the guy in the mask as well.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm on the sofa with Winter Storm. Hello, Winter Storm.
Hello.
But yes, Winter Storm, I need some background. Tell me, how did the band form? When did the band form? And who formed it?
Yeah, me and Wayne formed the band probably about 2007 now, I think it was. Kim only joined us like a year or something ago, I think, and Doomsday has been with us for quite a long time as well. And yeah, we kind of wanted to do something a little bit, originally a little bit gothic-y, and we've kind of moved away from that now, going for more of the metal kind of sounds.
You mean the kind of Euro symphonic kind of sound that I suppose bands like Within Temptation and all that kind of stuff
Yeah,
do?
I mean, even more metal edge than that, really, you know, kind of just going for some like heavy guitars, you know. When Wayne writes, it's more of like a Fear Factory kind of riff sound. When I write, it's more kind of, you know, about the progressive stuff and power stuff. So kind of come from different angles with it, you know, which is cool. So.
And you can see Amped on Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. and Friday nights at 11:30.
Now, I'm really excited to share this next clip with you, as I was a religious watcher of EastEnders.
Were you really?
I was, actually. I loved it.
Oh, okay.
And the clip we're about to see was taken from the time the actor Nick Bailey, who played Dr. Truman, came in to share his life story with Mike Prince.
Yeah.
Let's take a look.
First of all, let's hear about your childhood here in Birmingham. You were born in the 1970s. So how about those early years?
Well, I was born in actually in Hallam Hospital in West Bromwich, and my father was a Jamaican immigrant. My mother was from St Lucia. And yeah, when I was born in 1971, we moved to Handsworth Wood, and I was there for several years. In fact, my family still lived there. So yeah, it was, the 70s were great. It was a great time to be alive. It was a great time to be surrounded by family. We had a very tiny family. It was great. It was fantastic. I was educated at Cherry Orchard Primary School in Handsworth Wood, and then I went on to the Bluecoat School in Birmingham, and spent a couple of years there. And then I went out to Old Swinford Hospital in Stourbridge. But I was very lucky to have a great grounding in my education.
I was going to say, did you have some inspirational teachers? Because we're moving on to your love of Shakespeare. So where did that start?
Well, my love of Shakespeare started really at Old Swinford when I moved there. My English teacher, Miss Crosland, was a great inspiration. We happened to be studying it for GCE. We were doing the O-level English literature. And it was the first, Macbeth was the first play that I picked up. And I happened to be starring in an inter-house production of it later on. And I just instantly took to it. So literature was always in my life. I was always into the arts, and I'd always been on stage. So studying a play and being on stage, it was one and the same thing to me, really.
That was Nick Bailey on this week's edition of Life Stories.
And you can see Life Stories Tuesdays at 8 p.m, Wednesdays at 2, with a final showing on Sunday evenings at 7:30.
Now, don't forget that if you log on to the Big Centre website, then you can see all the shows we mentioned and many more.
And of course, look us up on YouTube as well, where you can find a veritable archive of some of our older programmes. Now, Chanel's guests on this week's edition of What's On was the founder of the Mr Birmingham exhibition, Emma Love.
But that wasn't why she was here. She actually popped along, as Emma is really a busy bee, and she came in to talk about an exhibition dedicated to old school Birmingham graffiti.
People will come along and see old school graffiti, so very sort of traditional graffiti that from sort of 30 odd years ago. And basically what I've done is I've tracked down the people from back then and got them to nag them to produce a piece of work. And some of these people have gone on from that time. Some of them have become multimillionaires, some of them in business, not necessarily in art. Some of them have become extremely well-established artists. And it's really kind of sort of recreating a moment of social history in Birmingham.
Mm-hmm. So all the artists from Birmingham then?
Yep, every single one is originally from Birmingham. Some of them now live, one of the artists lives in Korea, one artist lives in Colombia, somebody else lives in Lanzarote, some of them live in Devon.
So you did a lot of searching then to get these?
Yeah, it's taken a lot, and it's been, I've got to say, I've had an awful lot of, I mean, obviously it's taken a great deal of research, but I've had an enormous amount of sort of help from the graffiti community in order to make that happen as well. So,
do you think graffiti is quite popular? Because you mentioned it's old school graffiti. Has it sort of developed do the times then?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you talk to sort of member of the public now, then there's one name that will always be mentioned, which is Banksy.
Yeah.
Banksy is graffiti to me. He's street art, and I don't. It's a whole different sort of subject area. But yeah, I think well, graffiti's never gone. It's never left us.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
that sort of unspoken story that's happening in every city across the world.
Okay, well that's it for part 1, but don't go anywhere as we'll see you after this short break. Hello and welcome back to Postbag with me, Chanel Sheikh-Almin.
And me, Lee Bannister. Now, as we mentioned earlier, from next week we're going to be with you for a full hour on Saturday tea times at 5 p.m. Oh yes, do that again.
Sound like a train.
I thought you were pulling the toilet, Jack.
It does look like that.
Anyway, we're calling it the Big Centre magazine, and the idea is to bring you even more interesting things from around the Big Centre region.
So this is where we're making you a very special offer. So if you're part of a local community group or initiative, or you know something or someone local who would benefit from a bit of free publicity, then just give us a shout.
Yeah, perhaps there's something happening locally, or maybe something that needs a bit of support.
Or something that you think might be of interest to someone else. Well, that's what we're looking for. And if you know someone who might like to come and have a chat with us, then that's even better.
Yeah, spread the word. Tell your friends as well that our community news section is on its way, and remember, it's totally free.
So just contact us in the usual way on social media. Just look us up at Big Centre TV, or you can email postbag@bigcentre.tv. Or...
Ready to click?
I'm ready.
Write to us. Postbag, Big Centre TV, 14A, Lower Hall Lane, Walsall, WS1 1RL.
I mean, don't worry if you missed any of that, because we'll give you the details again later on in the programme.
Yes, now it's time to take a look at what's been featured on this week's news. And the British and Irish Association of Zoos and Aquariums has compiled a list of the top 10 birds from the benefiting of conservation work of zoos and aquariums in the UK and Ireland.
And one of these birds is I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, it's the Waldrop ibis, isn't it?
That's what I would have said, yeah.
Yeah, and that is a bird that used to be found throughout North Africa and the Middle East.
Yes, our Lindsay Smith spoke to Caroline Howard from the Birmingham Wildlife Conservation Park about what has made the ibis so endangered.
We have two different types of ibis on site. We've got our sacred ibis and our Waldrop ibis. It's the Waldrop ibis that are critically endangered in the wild, and they used to be found right throughout the Middle East, but in 2012 it's thought there were as few as 600 left in the wild, so they're really in trouble.
And what makes them so endangered?
They've seen quite a long-term decline. It's taken a very long time to reach a smaller population as that. A big problem historically has been pesticide use, and that actually affects a lot of birds. It even affects birds here in the UK. But for the Waldrop ibis, it's been a really big problem. Nowadays as well, political unrest is a bit of a problem as well, as some places where they live aren't very stable.
And how long have you had these birds here?
Oh, we've had these birds here for several years. They're quite elderly birds now. We've got a pair, cushion mop top, and they're part of a European breeding programme. So they're all animals that are bred in zoos in order to keep a healthy population. And some zoos in the UK, like Chester Zoo for example, have actually sent birds out to be released back into the wild as well.
What other birds do you have here that are endangered?
We have a lot of endangered species on site, so that's quite a big question. The ones just behind me here are white-naped cranes. They're threatened in the wild, and they're again another species as part of a breeding programme. We've got things like our blue cranes as well. Then we've got things like pheasants on site, various different species like that. And then we have all of our other endangered species as well.
And what kind of work is the centre doing to help the conservation process?
Well, we work as part of the British and Irish Association of Zoos and Aquariums and as part of the European Association of Zoos and Aquariums. So we're involved in breeding programmes like this, and we also do try and raise awareness of animals like this, try and encourage our visitors to contribute to conservation, whether or not it's out in the wild for something that lives in Morocco like the Waldrop ibis, or something just in your backyard. We do also contribute to conservation funds as well.
And what do you hope the future of these birds will be?
Well, they have started getting re-established in some areas. The population dropped to a very, very small population originally. It's looking a little bit better with a lot of the conservation work that's going on. They're still in a really, really dangerous position though. So a big part of what we're doing in zoos is just making sure that we have a reserve population, so we make sure we don't lose them entirely. That's our biggest priority. And then hopefully try and protect their habitat out in the wild, try and protect the birds out in the wild, try and encourage people to not use the pesticides that are damaging them, to try and protect their native habitat, and eventually start seeing numbers increase.
Linda Smith there speaking to Caroline Howard from the Birmingham Wildlife Conservation Park.
Yeah. Next, Birmingham motorists are being reminded that from next month it'll be illegal to smoke in a vehicle carrying anyone under 18.
Earlier this year, MPs voted in favour of the move, which aimed to protect young people under 18 from second-hand smoke.
So, from the 1st of October this year, private vehicles must be smoke-free if there's more than one person present and one of them is under 18.
And the rule also applies to motorhomes, camper vans and caravans when they are being used as a vehicle, but don't apply when they're being used as living accommodation.
So Lois Swinnerton took to the streets of Walsall to find out what they think about the change to the legislation.
I think it's a brilliant idea. Yeah, it should be banned everywhere. And I'm anti-smoking now. I've smoked for years, but I detest it now.
I think it's excellent because, one, if you're smoking in the car, it encourages kids to smoke. Another thing, passive smoke. There's horrible smell in the car when you've got young babies, they inhale it.
I think it's a load of rubbish actually. I'm a smoker, I've smoked for years. It's my choice, it's freedom, isn't it? You know, having the government tell you what you can and can't do, I'm just sick of it now.
Well, it should be done anyway because you shouldn't smoke in cars and only 18 children. If you're in the car with yourself, yeah, but not when you've got kids in.
I think they should ban it because it could cause a lot of issues in the car. For example, if you had a baby in the car and the baby inhales the smoke, it could particularly harm the baby.
I think it's not good at all smoking in the car, you know. Don't matter if 18 October or 1st October or whatever date it is. But better no smoking because anyway, you know, a smell is still in the car. You know, I know some people spray something as well, but it's still no good.
I think that's pretty good, but I don't really like it because the car's really compact. If there's kids in the car, then it's going to really be bad for them.
Now we're going to take a quick look ahead to Monday's episode of What's On, where Chanel's guest was Julie Homfrey from arts marketing company Cohesion.
Julie came in to talk about this new craze which is taking place, and it's called cinema. Now, Lee, do you know what cinema means?
Cinema? I could hazard a guess, but honestly, I've no idea.
Well, neither did I. So I had to kick off the interview by asking her exactly what it meant.
Cinema is a mix of two words, theatre and cinema. So a lot of people are discovering that you can go and see top quality theatre from London or Stratford beamed straight to your cinema. And so that's why it's a mixture of the two. It's seeing top quality theatre from your cinema.
Oh, okay. So is this quite popular then? Are people sort of screaming out for these sort of things?
It's really growing. I mean, there's been ballet, things like Royal Ballet, Royal Opera, and also things from abroad being screened in this way by satellite for several years now. But certainly over the last sort of 2 to 3 years, the amount of theatre productions that are being screened, it's growing month by month. It's just getting incredibly popular.
So how does it sort of compare to actually going to an actual theatre then?
Well, the difference is that when there's, for example, if they were screening a run of shows from the National Theatre, there will be one particular screening that's been set up with cameras. So there is an audience there, but they've been set up so that the camera angles give you the best possible theatre seat in the house. So you're seeing also behind the scenes as well beforehand in the interval. You go behind the scenes, learn a little bit more about it. So there is that, and also you've got an audience around you. So you're reacting like a theatre audience, and it's live, so things can still go wrong the way they do at theatre. But you're experiencing it, I suppose, at a reduced cost, obviously. And you're seeing perhaps a different range of things that you'd find locally.
See, the one thing that you touched on upon is that the fact that you are seeing it live, like the reason why I love the theatre personally, because you're right there, the actors are in front of you performing. So essentially this is the same sort of effect, but sort of better because you can see backstage, you can obviously be more comfortable in the cinema, I guess.
Yeah, there's different viewpoints on it really. I think particularly seeing backstage and getting those really close. I mean, for me personally, for a lot of people, nothing replaces going to the theatre. And supporting local theatre is it's so important to keep all our theatres going.
Julie also said that if you can think of another name which better suits the theatre and cinema combo, then she would love to know. So just send your suggestions to the Postbag email address, which is postbag@bigcentre.tv.
OK, so that's your Postbag for this week.
Now remember, as we said earlier, Postbag is changing and expanding soon. So why not give us a shout about your community news and information too, as it's a way for you or anyone you know to promote something positive going on local to you, and best of all, the publicity is absolutely free. What have you got to lose?
Absolutely nothing at all. So for that, or if there's anything you'd like to talk to us about in the brand new Big Centre magazine programme, then on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, just look us up at Big Centre TV. Or if you want to email us, then it's postbag@bigcentre.tv.
And our postal address is...
One more time.
I'm not sure what I was going to do with this one.
I can't click with my other one. Oh, hello.
It is Big Centre TV, 14A Lower Hall Lane, Walsall, WS1 1RL. So I'll be back with What's On for an hour-long show on Monday at 7 p.m.
Yes, and we shall be back with you at the same time next week, Saturday, 5 o'clock. Remember that for the Big Centre magazine.
I'll see you then.
Try a bit.